A pre-show Q&A for DrizzleBoy. Thank you so much for coming. Please don't be shy. Come cuddle. This is supposed to be an intimate chat.
Yeah.
Before we begin, I wanted to acknowledge the Ngunnawal people and the Ngambri people as the traditional custodians of the land we are meeting on today, and any other people or families with connections to the lands of the ACT and the region. I want to also acknowledge and respect their continuing culture and the contribution they make to the life of the city in this region, and say that we are incredibly fortunate to be able to host artistic masterpieces in a theater on their land. And I wanted to take a moment to introduce Tess and Ryan. Tess Ivanovich is a Canberra local passionate about disability rights and genuine inclusion. She's a disability advocate, educator, and inclusion consultant. And when we were looking for a facilitator for tonight's Q&A, we thought any of us could ask Ryan some questions, but we would love to have someone who's sensitive to this space, who understands how to have conversations around neurodivergence. Tess was the first one who came to mind.
Yeah.
So we're very happy to have you here. And she will be speaking with RyanEnniss, who is an actor, voiceover artist, and of course the playwright out of our wonderful show tonight, DrizzleBoy. Thank you so much for coming. Please welcome Tess and Ryan.
Thanks, Sandy, and thank you everyone for joining us this evening. I'm so excited to be here with DrizzleBoy's playwright, RyanEnniss.
Thank you very much.
Ryan, DrizzleBoy is a significant work at a significant time. It's the first time Australia is seeing a neurodivergent playwright writing a neurodivergent main character played by a neurodivergent actor about the neurodivergent lived experience. Not only is that a tongue twister, it is significant and important. Can you tell us about how you came to write the play?
Of course. Also, I reckon someone should keep a tally of all the times we say neurodivergent in this chat. Well, I wrote the play while I was in my third year of acting training at NIDA, and I came across an article which was about parents using bleach to try and cure their children of autism, which it really upset me, and I did the only thing that I really know how to do, and that's I started writing a play. And so I wrote it during the show that I was in, so I would go on and do a scene, and then as soon as that was done, I would rush off and I'd start scribbling down all of these ideas, and in about 3 days I furiously produced a first draft, and I had a little reading with my friends, and then my housemate at the time was a Queensland boy, and he said, "Hey, Queensland Theatre's got this award, you should put in for it," and I did, and a year later, here we are, and things have gone pretty all right.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, to be specific, DrizzleBoy was the 2023 Queensland Premier's Drama Award winner, is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so not any old play, ladies and gents. I guess people are probably wondering, is DrizzleBoy an autobiographical work? Are you DrizzleBoy?
Short answer is no, I'm not DrizzleBoy. The longer answer for that is, as with a lot of my writing, I take moments, or I take phrases, or I take experiences from my own life, and I kind of turn everything up to 11, as you'll see when you see the play. It becomes a bit farcical and a bit whimsical and a bit fantastical. So short answer, no. Long answer, a little bit.
And I guess I'd be interested to hear, so, DrizzleBoy, this is a play that centres neurodivergence both inside the production and also for the audience. So I'm curious how you sort of worked with finding an authentic representation of neurodivergence, and also how you sort of made that accessible for the audience.
That's a long question to answer, I think. Well, first off, obviously, writing from myself as a starting point lends it this kind of authenticity that you don't often see in a lot of media. I find especially theatre, and directly written into the script, there's the stipulation that DrizzleBoy has to be played by a neurodivergent artist. And there was no way in hell I was going to let anyone do it if they were just going to chuck someone who hadn't lived this into it. Along with that, as you'll see when you see the show, there's a couple of sort of safety nets built in. So there's a little like sort of warning that'll pop up for any kind of harsh lighting shift or sound cue. So for those of you in the audience who might have a sensory sensitivity or know someone who does, you'll be made aware of that, which is kind of one of the many ways in which we build this kind of trust and bond with the audience from the script. And then that obviously extends into the rehearsal period itself. Being in the rehearsal room for only the first week of rehearsals, that was the first time that I'd ever been in a disability-led rehearsal room. You know, I think we had the majority of people in that room were neurodivergent or disabled in some way. And that was also the first time that I'd been asked like accommodations or what I needed to do my best work. And I think that has helped build the show into what it is now, because everyone knows exactly what everyone else needs and what they need to produce art that they're proud of and art that they believe in. And for the audience, I think there's a breakout space if any of you need that. So if you need a calm sensory environment to engage with the show, that is there. And I don't think that I've been to many shows where that's a thing. So I think it was just a lot of layers of people caring and you know, giving a crap. And I think all in all, it's kind of built this show to be fairly accessible, which I'm quite happy with. I mean, we can always do better, we can always do more, but this is a good start.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it feels so different. What I've found as I'm, you know, working in the disability and neurodiversity space, things feel so different when they are led by people who are with disability or people who are disabled, who are neurodivergent. You know, it is, we prioritise each other's safety, psychological safety, emotional safety, our spoons, our capacity, our boundaries there, and it makes a very different space to work in, whatever you're doing, whether you're writing a play or, you know, teaching or working in an office, running a meeting. They look very different when they are led by people with lived experience. And I think, you know, obviously this is such an important play because it is the first time we're seeing all of these things come together, but there's like what's coming next, you know, from everyone else and of course from yourself. Oh, just lost an earring, I think. The excitement never stops. What was I saying? So, yeah, so I think those differences are really valuable and valued. So, yeah, it's cool to hear that the creation process looked and felt a lot different as well. So that's really cool. You know, we know DrizzleBoy is autistic. We know the play is sort of about his experience growing up from childhood into adulthood in this neurotypical world. And when I think of the autistic lived experience in particular, you know, unfortunately there is still a lot of trauma involved in the autistic experience, and you know, we'd probably be hard pressed to find an autistic person who isn't traumatized by the system in some way, whether that's the medical system, by peers, family sometimes, you know, out in schools, all over the shop. So yeah, so that autistic experience of trauma, the autistic experience of anxiety and, you know, sensory sensitivities, which can become sensory overwhelm, which can become, you know, meltdowns. As we try to navigate this world that isn't built for us, it's built for the neurotypical friends out there. So you know, there's that part of the experience, but there's also this beautiful autistic joy. It's a complicated and complex picture. How on earth do you represent all of that on a stage?
We have all of the easy questions, don't we? Well, I mean, part of it is acknowledging that there are a lot of real challenges and real difficulties about being a neurodivergent person in a world that's not built for you. I think Lee Lewis said it really, really well when she was speaking about the original version of the show, in that DrizzleBoy is, and I've always wanted it to be, this play that makes a very light and fun space out of some things that potentially could be very dark and heavy. So I think it comes from, and I'm not sure if this is just the farm boy in me, but wanting to take the piss out of myself and wanting to have a bit of fun with my own experiences and poking at myself as much as I'm poking at the world around me and all of the people who are maybe making it difficult. I think it's got to have a little bit of that, I don't know, 1980s punk stuff you energy, that kind of like upbeat, I'm going to have fun throwing things back at you that you throw to me. But doing so in a way that does also encompass that kind of, that joy. Because I think if you're telling a story that's just all doom and gloom, it's not very fun. It's not very fun. If you just kind of like wallow in it, I don't see much value in that. I am a big, possibly like hippie, flowers in my hair type of dude, and I think that love and hope are really, really important. And so I think those are the two sort of most crucial aspects of the play. And I think that they're also crucial aspects of how you represent neurodivergence on stage. I think that if you carry everything with love and hope, it gives people a levity that gives them permission to engage with it if it's something that they aren't familiar with, and if it's something that they maybe are a little bit scared of. Yeah, so I think that in trying to encompass everything, you have to have a bit of fun with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And to me, it also feels like, you know, taking back your power or our power, and you know, owning one's identity and not being told who DrizzleBoy is or who we are, but yeah, saying it in a way, you know, that is your voice.
There's got to be that kind of permission to be chaotically and disgustingly yourself, and yeah, I think that there is a sense of fun in that, and there should be a sense of fun in that. For a lot of people, there maybe isn't, and maybe DrizzleBoy can kind of help guide them to that. Yeah,
I think I feel like there is that sense of fun. I don't know, there's something in the shared experience of the disabled community, of the neurodivergent community, where we are generally, we don't have time for the pretense. You know, we've just got to get down to being our authentic selves, and if that means being a complete weirdo in the rehearsal room, on the stage, on the street, if that's our true selves, then yeah, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, for sure.
I think if we wanted to talk about themes in the play, you know, it's incredible the way that you've told this story. The cast is a grand total of 3 people, and the richness of the story and the characters, of which there are more than 3, is quite incredible, the way it's all come together. But a main theme through the play is DrizzleBoy, you know, growing up in the care of his mother and father, and, you know, as a child, mum and dad know what's what, and that journey of, you know, growing older, becoming his own person, and taking that step away from mother and father. And that's something that all parents and children go through. But I think for people with disabilities or people who are neurodivergent, who have had that sort of extra layer growing up, the stepping away and becoming your own person and trying these risky things, it can be quite a point of tension between parents and that young person. Thoughts, thoughts, feelings, emotions?
Many. I mean, as you'll see in the play. I was very, very lucky in that my parents are nothing like mother and father in this show. So
good to know.
Let mum and dad off the hook. They received a few things. I think there are many sort of aspects of mother and father, the characters that are woven through the story that we see in other characters, in the sort of more heightened fantastical ones, in the Russian cosmonaut, in the goat-headed demon man. And I think
spoilers.
Spoilers. I mean, if you haven't seen any of the show photos, I'll just ruin the whole thing for you. But I think that that coming of age aspect is something that everyone can kind of relate to, and I think that is the lens through through which a lot of neurotypical people come to the show. I think that everyone can kind of understand trying to separate yourself from your childhood and from your parents, and trying to become your own human being, whoever that is. But as you said, there's this kind of extra bubble that neurodivergent people have to pierce through, and I think that thematically we see that a lot with DrizzleBoy and Juliet. And so I don't want to spoil anything, but I think that if you're savvy and you keep an eye out, you'll hear phrases and you'll hear sort of motifs that pop up again and again through character dialogue that kind of help you understand DrizzleBoy's extra steps in his journey to becoming a man.
I used to be a high school teacher and ended up teaching kids with pretty complex needs, and all of a sudden was teaching sex ed. Turns out we're still not doing a very good job of that. So I ended up starting my own business where I now teach relationship and sexuality education to people who are disabled or neurodivergent. And, again, like DrizzleBoy's growing up, he likes someone. Does that person like him? Like, now what do I do? I think it's I'm trying to step down off my soapbox. Obviously, sex ed needs to be a lot better in general, but again, there's that extra layer of, hang on, like you're either, asexual or hypersexual. Like you can't. We need to protect you. We need to, come and stay with mum and dad. Let's watch TV tonight. That sounds fun, doesn't it?
There's a lot of sort of myths and misconceptions that the play tries to debunk, and one of those is that autistic people are these kind of like angelic little creatures that never grow up, and they don't fight or swear or want to have sex, and it's just kind of, which is ridiculous, because like as a human being, those are some of the primary drives. And so I think it's again, it comes back to that rule of fun, in that it is quite fun to see DrizzleBoy discover those desires, and to discover that it is quite fun to tell someone to get stuffed, and to find that kind of like rage within himself, and to go on that journey of self-discovery through all of those intense and possibly upsetting but possibly thrilling emotions. It's I think part of the play tries to debunk those myths through those experiences.
I mean, obviously the actors on the stage, they're doing an incredible job expressing these deep feelings of all different kinds, but at the same time, the audience will see that there's this whole other layer of the production where you're trying to show us like what that neurodivergent experience feels like or looks like. Perhaps you could share a little bit about how you tried to use technology, use these other layers to help the audience understand the perspective.
Absolutely. Well, first off, I think that it's endlessly dull when a piece of media kind of like looks at you and says, "And here's what I'm teaching you." So I think that it's always more fun to invite people along with you. And so one of the techniques that we use in the show is direct address, in that DrizzleBoy will talk to the audience, which you'll see very quickly. And in those moments, we kind of get the invitation to come on the rocket ride with him and to be with him in his innermost thoughts and to be with him in his trials and tribulations. And then I think the technical and design team did a phenomenal job at taking that idea of DrizzleBoy being the center of this theatrical universe and really running with it. Because I mean, everything from the way the stage operates, in that it's kind of like a model of the universe from 1600, to the way that the lights operate, because they run on not only that neurodivergent safety net, they also run on synesthesia, which DrizzleBoy has and which I have, and the sound has been taken into account. So it all kind of feeds in to create something that is hopefully easily accessible to people, but also a very nice little mirror or window into DrizzleBoy's world or the audience's own worlds.
Yeah. I do just want to add, if anyone's heart rate spiked when you heard that DrizzleBoy is going to talk directly to the audience, there is no audience participation.
No.
It's not going to be.
Not at all.
I feel like that's not a super neurospicy way to go about things.
No,
Don't
wouldn't you just hate it? He was like, and now I need a volunteer to dance with me. Goodness, no, there's none of that. But he'll talk to you, and please, you're invited to laugh or to gasp or to cry or to physically engage in any way that you want or need to, because I think largely it is a comedy, and comedy works best when people sort of get into it and have a bit of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a funny show. It's definitely an emotional show. If you are a crier like me, I hope you've got a tissue or two in your bag as well.
I'll be the biggest crier. I'll be sitting up the back being like...
that was me last night. Doubling back to the Premier's Drama Award,
Cool.
You mentioned that there was a bit of a transformation or a journey that the play went on because of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I said, I wrote it in between scenes of a play that I was acting in, and that first draft of the play really doesn't resemble what this is now. It had the same spirit and the same intention and told a similar story, but it was this loosely connected sort of blueprint of scenes that were sort of joined by themes rather than by a sort of narrative. And so I think when I handed that to Queensland Theatre, they looked at it and went, yeah, I don't know what that is. Do you want to like, yeah, so they kind of, they didn't know what to do with it, but they knew that they liked it. And so during the sort of process of the Queensland Premier's Drama Award, we did a lot of development. First, I worked with Declan Green from Griffin Theatre Company down in Sydney, and a bunch of actors, and we got in a room and we started playing with the scenes and figuring out how they were tied together and where they might fit in order. And then from there was like a public reading, and then from that moment on, after the award was won, which I was very, very lucky to have given to me, I went into almost full-time development with Daniel Evans, the director, and Dr. Saffron Benner, our dramaturg. And I think during that time I wrote about 112 scenes.
Oh gosh,
and
only 112?
Yeah, they filled an entire boardroom table at Queensland Theatre, and we sort of had to go through the mammoth task of combing through all of that and being like, this one doesn't work, that makes no sense, this goes here, this attaches to this. And so that was the process of crafting the show. And from there, once it was finally sort of assembled into what you might see tonight, it was just a matter of like tracking character trajectory and doing traditional play stuff. But to get to that point, we had to stitch everything together in a very neurodivergent way. Yeah, there's not a lot of linear things in this play.
Yeah, it felt jam-packed to me, and you're just constantly, as you say, it's non-linear. So yeah, you've got to keep up. But I mean, at the same time, it's so easy to follow these complex threads. You know, jumping back and forth in time and in place and space. You know, it's really incredible what has been achieved.
Thank you, but I really do have to thank Daniel and Dr. Saffron Benner, because I mean, they were instrumental in stitching it together. Because I would look at it and go, that makes perfect sense, and then they would look at it and be like, Ryan, I mean, yeah, for you, but no one else. And I'm like, I see, you're stuck in linear time. I see.
I've got an extra 3 dimensions up my
I'm
sleeve
working
here.
in the theory of relativity. I'm 4 steps ahead of you, dimensional chess.
There are, as we've said, there are some heavy themes in the play, but there is also so much vulnerability and honesty and love and growth. As the audience is heading into the theatre this evening, what would you like them to sort of keep in mind? Any message or?
I think, as I said before, it is largely a comedy, so have fun, loosen up, relax. But also, I think it's always important to go into any experience, especially something like DrizzleBoy, with the spirit of curiosity. And I think be curious about the play, be curious about yourselves, be curious about each other, and don't be afraid to grapple with a couple of thorny questions, and don't be afraid to have conversations after the show. So have fun, be curious, enjoy the rocket ride. Thank
you, Ryan, so much for this
Tess.
behind-the-scenes look at how DrizzleBoy has come to life. I'm really excited for everyone to see it. I'm sure you are too.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, before I
is the soapbox coming back?
No, not the soapbox. More my ADHD brain going, okay, let's start 3 sentences at once and finish none of them.
You're in the right spot there. That's great.
Yeah, I just wanted to share before we wrap up that the script for DrizzleBoy is actually available for purchase over at the bar, and our distinguished playwright over here is very happy to autograph your copy, which I think
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Please. Come and have a chat. I'll sign your script and you can help me pay rent in Sydney.
And the other really exciting news is that after the show this evening, the cast is actually going to be coming out to meet people, have a chat, sign your script. I'm sure we can scrounge up 3 more pens. So yeah, please do purchase a copy and have a chat to the team behind this incredible production. Again, thank you so much, Ryan.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. RyanEnniss.
Thanks, everybody.
There we go.